everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered Rise Live. But with me today, I also have an amazing reoccurring guest who actually was like, hey, we should talk about this. I think we should. Tree of Liberty Society. Ben, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic. Good to be with you, Heidi.
Will you let people know that don't know you and haven't caught our last shows what you're about and what you do?
Yeah. Tree of Liberty Society. We are focused on building understanding and having people adhere to the principles of liberty that have built free nations. Also, we are working to expose the satanic conspiracy that we face that is trying to destroy liberty and to organize a resistance to it. And so we have an organization where we are organized to do those things, where we have weekly trainings. We published books like the ones right there about Dallin H. Oaks. We did one called Invasion, where it gets on how this international conspiracy has infiltrated our communities, like the state of Utah. And so we're just working really hard to build liberty and destroy evil.
Absolutely. And this goes far back. Like, I had no idea. The more I dive into history, I'm like, what is going So, I mean, you were one of the people that were critical for me, showing me some of the things that happened in Utah. And for people that have missed that, they should go check out our Skull and Bones episode we did, the Dallin H. Oaks episode we did, and go check out your book. I have personally listened to his first book. It's awesome. You guys need to understand some of the things that have happened, especially if you live in Utah or are in a community of Mormons, mainstream Mormonism or otherwise, because it's affecting things. It's been taken over, I would say, in a big word for my take on things. Whatever I say is me. Ben says is him. We don't want people upset, but regardless, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Get some fun people coming on your comment section just trying to bash me, so that's fun too.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? And I have some tics for my ADHD, and once I'm, tired or whatever, I'm shaking my head. So yeah, it is what it is.
Well, and another thing that's really interesting, right? You mentioned the Alfalfa Club show we did recently, and the Alfalfa Club just had their meeting just this last Saturday. So everything just comes around.
Oh, there we go. Oh man. And for those that missed that, you should tell them a little bit about what that is.
They claim to be the oldest secret society in existence going back to ancient Egypt. And they claim that they are the power behind the thrones, and that all of the wars essentially that we know about in history were all about grabbing their secrets to give them the power to rule the world. Mitt Romney has been the president of the organization, as well as other powerful elites.
That's right. And for people that don't know, everybody's worried about a new world order coming. Guess what? Ding, ding, ding. We're here. I think it came with the boat. I think it got here with the Mayflower, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? So we're going to talk about some of these Epstein files today, because the Mormon Church came up, of course, always, right? So weird. It's they shouldn't be there, but they're there.
And it's funny, I was watching some of the apologists out there that, and this is what bothers me. Like, I'm always like, because of course I'm a believer. And so I'm like I'm not these apologists over here trying to defend everything that's undefensible, but I'm also saying, well, it's not, to me, is not what some of the antis are saying. And so like, hey, how about this middle road of truth? And I know that you like that as well. So I just think it's like, I'm just looking at these people trying to explain things away that are just ridiculous, and it makes you look silly.
Yes, it does. And then we Exmos, because I'm not a believer of the Mormon faith, but I am a believer. But it gets to this point where you almost go, "Is this real? Is this serious?"
Well, and some of this some of the stuff in here is crazy.
Right. And we're going to talk about this because I couldn't even believe this came up, because I was like, okay, is this real? Like, what?
Right.
Why is this here? And what is happening? But
it reminds me of like satanic ritual abuse. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh, no.
It reminds me of the satanic ritual abuse arguments where people are like, that's just so far-fetched, it's impossible. But then when people that are unconnected to each other, have never talked to each other, and before this thing's even become public, are saying the same exact things, you start to say, maybe there's something to it.
Maybe they had dinner at the Alfalfa Club.
All of these victims that don't know each
Look,
other, all telling the same story. It's, what a coincidence.
and it gets very strange. And then when we look at all of this stuff and then we see like, okay, this is coming up. Clearly, we know that, an entity like a church or whatever isn't that's necessarily people involved. I'll give people that because we can't just chuck everybody under the bus.
Mhm.
However, it doesn't look
Right.
good. Doesn't look good. And for people that don't know, and we're talking about some comments. And for these comments, we're going to use life fluids that are red that keep us alive because we kind of like being on YouTube. And I already got muted on Spotify. So for a whole day, I had no words that were coming out of my
Wow.
mouth, apparently. So we got to be a little bit careful. And so we're going to call that life fluids. We've got some different weird stuff coming up about this. But if people haven't seen, there were some comments
Yeah.
about this. Do you want to chime in
Yeah,
with
and
that?
well, even in their own documents to be able to, I don't know if they're trying to hide from the FBI, which is just a weird. I've got all kinds of questions, but like they use, of course, just like with the pizza, gate
Hmm.
controversy, they use these code words and like cheese pizza, and Obama had these, $100,000 hot dog parties, and then in these documents you have these pizza and grape soda parties. And so I believe that
Yes.
they're either obsessed with grape soda, and these elites are either just obsessed with grape soda, or I believe it is code word for unconsensual marital relations. And so,
Yes. Yeah. Well, and kind of like what you said about, things that don't belong together and then they are together, like the board of Permindex
mhm,
for people that, follow JFK. You see mobsters with, Clay Shaw, with the royal people. Like it doesn't make sense. If you put that in a room and you looked at it, you go,
right,
what? That doesn't make sense. But this is happening. So, grape soda,
yeah,
all the things, like this weird stuff, and we specifically have this one email that's a really bad weird problem, and it talks about, I have this one, I'm just gonna read it. It's a little weird. This is one of the things it said. "So, still I wanted more from Jeffrey, and he was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine charms. One night at the sunset over Little St. James Island, I stood in the room where Jeffrey had just received a therapeutic massage from one of my daughter's friends. The room was covered in a genius's seed, which was going to waste. Okay. I had an inspiration and asked the chef to bring me an extra large turkey baster, and in a beautiful fertility ritual, created my youngest daughter. At first, Jeffrey was furious, but I pointed out that by staggering daughters every 8 years, it would supply a ripe girls of his at his disposal. He bought me a house and got my oldest daughter into blank by donating $50,000 to their gender studies program and paid for my youngest daughter to attend blank. All she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon red fluids, body fluids every week. Oh, that gets weird quick.
that whole
I don't even
exchange was
know.
just like, I've got I feel dirty inside. Like after, I'm like, who is this depraved? Like even if it's all made up, that's some sick crap.
Right. Right. And it's so weird that it's literally like you said, like no one is going to believe
Right.
this, right? It's almost crazy. You're the crazy conspiracy lady. Okay, cool. But I mean, we know this from the pizza time and other
Yeah.
things like from 2020. From a whole bunch of things that we've all gone through in our lives that are crazy, like weather manipulation. Oh, that never
Right.
happens. Yes, it does. Now they just put it in the
Right.
newspaper. Okay. Um, right. And so I remember telling my mom about this. I'm like, no, you just Google it. Like it's
Right.
real. Like weather manipulation is a thing. And she's like, no, it isn't. And I'm like, yes, it is. And now she knows it totally is. Like it's just
Right.
weird. And so we could chuck it all out. Cool. But what if it's not just crap? This is concerning.
Well, and it's
So
why Mormon blood. That's oddly specific.
mhm. Well, I might have a very strange little piece to this puzzle. So, one thing my brain does when I've studied and studied and studied,
Mhm.
okay, I always have these little spider like things in your brain, like spider webs of everywhere, like the red string
Yeah.
guy, right? This is how my brain is. And I immediately thought, you know what? Who's the other weirdo that we know that's definitely involved in genetic stuff, that's definitely involved with Mormons and older than
Mhm.
this because there's nothing new under the sun. So I immediately started looking up Howard
Mm.
Hughes and red life force substances of the Mormon nature. So this is what I found. And this was actually kind of crazy. So a clinical pathologist, Dr. Homer C. Clark from Salt Lake City, Dr. Clark ran a laboratory that provided fluids for Hughes transfusions during a major medical crisis multiple times. Okay, medical logistics. Dr. Clark was the brother of Rand Clark, one of Hughes' executive assistants. And this family's connection allowed the staff to discreetly transport over state lines medical equipment and fluids for Hughes at secluded locations because it was much laughed at and joked about that Howard Hughes was a vampire. And it always sounds ridiculous. That's so stupid. But what if it doesn't mean what we think it means, right? Like, what if people were making a joke about
Mhm.
reality? So, the key part about this, it sounds ridiculous. They were actually prosecuted, and this is in depositions. Okay. So, you can't really just chuck it out because these people got sued for this because they transferred it over state lines and they didn't have the medical license in both states. So they got in trouble. And these doctors got in deep crap for this. Okay. And the supplier of these transfusions was a pathology laboratory here that was also owned by the same people. So that's also a conflict
Mhm.
of interest. And so I wondered, okay, well, what's so special about our fluid inside our body that if you are of this cult or for your listeners church. I don't want to piss everybody off. Look, I'm trying my
You're
best.
fine.
And so, on the theological
Yeah.
basis, like I started thinking, like what is
Right.
the deal here? And I found this from J. Reuben Clark. For those that don't know, but J. Reuben Clark said he wrote this whole big thing in this church segregation business at LDS Hospital. And in 1948, they had a huge argument with the Red Cross talking about Utah's affiliation with the blood banks and making sure that dark people's skin of darker
Mhm.
color, their blood was not given to people of fair
Mm.
skin. So to keep it pure, and interviews with nurses and staff from the mid 20th century confirmed that these bags were often marked with a C for colored or a nothing for blank for white, allowing doctors to honor requests of keeping the lineage of our bloodline pure. Now, the purity of the blood, it's called, it's been called into question multiple times with the church. And some of this is old, and I get that, but it continued on after they allowed everybody to have the priesthood. In fact, this is rumored to be
Mm.
continued on today.
I can't
I
imagine a
can't prove that
hospital
one though.
doing that. They'd be like so afraid of being called racist. That'd be crazy.
But if they're a private laboratory, they can.
Sure they
And
can, but I'm just
so
wondering if they would.
these
Wow.
places,
Sure.
well, I mean,
Everybody's so
depends
I
on
just
who you hire and how much you
sure,
pay
sure.
them.
Yeah. You can throw a party for Robert E. Lee and be, Obama, then sure.
Right. Exactly. Nothing makes sense. We're an upside down world. Here we are. And so ultimately I had to shake my head and go, is this why? And then the other piece that I have, a little tiny piece, is 70% of Utah people are O blood.
Hmm.
Okay. And most of them are O positive.
Hmm.
Okay. So most people in the world, as far as positive,
Mhm.
negative, most are positive. There's very few
Huh.
that are negative. There's a lot of O negative as well, but 70% is O positive. So you would be able to receive this as long as you knew you weren't RH, negative without any trouble. So this might make sense about the O piece because it's just easier
Mhm.
that way,
Mhm.
right? I mean, think about the time frame. They probably didn't have what we have now about screening and
Yeah.
whatever. Also diseases,
Mhm.
the community of the LDS people are upright usually and standing on their moral values and whatnot, not rampant back then, at least what
Right.
we think in, prostitution
Traditionally,
and drug
yeah.
use or something. I don't know.
Numbers
Yeah.
wise, percentage wise, yeah.
But Yeah, percentages. So we know that, possibly is that what it is? Is it just a safety? Is this the curse of Cain? I don't know. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
by this time though, this is like, we're talking like 2000s, or so it's like, I don't know, yeah, totally weird. But and as
Ups,
there you go.
oh, I don't know what happened there, but
Kicking you
there it
off.
is already.
So,
Oh boy. I didn't even say anything wrong. I've been using code words.
but
I'm telling you guys. Oh.
that's pretty wild. That's pretty funny. I was just
Oh,
gonna say that the thing that to me lends credibility to this not being make believe is why did they keep it? But more importantly, during his lifetime, Epstein did send checks to BYU to pay
yes.
for individuals' tuitions. So in this document says that Epstein paid for my daughter's, gender studies, if she got a pint of Mormon blood every week, doesn't it make sense that he's sending checks to these colleges to pay for individuals' tuition, which is all throughout there? There's tons of these messages in there where they are saying that he is sending these checks to BYU to be able to pay for. He's not like sending them donations for a wing of some kind of building. It's specifically earmarked to pay for an individual's tuition. And so,
Yes.
you put these two things together and you're like, he's getting pints of blood from Mormons every single week. And I'm wondering,
I mean,
where's it coming from? Like, and is there something in Mormon blood that he can, like, he gets this bag of blood in the mail, however it gets mailed. I'm sorry, I keep on saying this word that maybe we shouldn't say. But he's getting this fluid in the mail, and is he testing it to make sure it's from Mormons? Or what is this girl doing? Is she getting it from, is she donating it herself, like a pint every week? Or is she like getting her roommates involved? Like, what is going
right.
on?
What, and like you said, why? Like this, this whole thing with Zorro Ranch, for people that haven't really looked into that deep. We have to understand a couple things. Orson Hyde's son was very involved in the Utah eugenics program. Okay. I have an actual clipping from the newspaper that talks about Orson Hyde's son. He was a doctor and he was very involved in this eugenics program very early on in Utah. Okay. And, LDS Abuse has also talked about eugenics in Utah and the studies there. I think it screams when people, are so involved and aligned with NWO stuff, but also with Paracelsus Society here very early on in Utah, which seems like it doesn't fit, right? Like, why would this weird society be here in the midst of Mormon Utah? Why would that happen?
Right.
But do you know about Paracelsus and some of his studies?
I don't.
So there's something, and I know people are just going to go crazy with this, but you have to look at what they believe, not what I believe. Okay.
Right.
Not what I believe. We know that there is huge genetic and DNA studies and CRISPR studies going on at HHMI, which is Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Where did all of the bulk of Howard Hughes' money go? It didn't go to his family. He didn't have much. It went into probate for 31 years, first of all. But after he died and they got it all, flushed out, Bill Gay takes it over and he runs it through Howard Hughes Medical Institute, which Nixon helped set up through a tax break fund. And this is real. Okay. So the IRS had already denied it 3 times. They were like, nah, bro, your planes are not involved in medical stuff. Get real. Okay. But they put it underneath the shell company. And what happens underneath the shell company? They start putting in all the input. This is how all the records became put into the, digital system under Howard Hughes. So, and Bill Gay was at the head of this. And so Bill Gay's family is still hugely important today. Okay. They merged with, what's his name? Why can't I remember his name? The next most important guy in Utah. HHGI. I'll think of it in a minute. Who's the next most important hospital guy? the hospital
Oh,
is named
Eccles?
after. Yes. Okay. They end up merging later. And so we have to understand the dynamics of where the money goes, what's happening, what they're studying, and something called the Book of the Cow, which is a Paracelsian, thing.
Mhm.
I do not take credit for this research. Definitely, Paranoid American did a great show on this, and I just have to say, like, it was shocking. They were talking about making a homunculus. And this is crazy. I already know, but they were talking about basically making people outside of the womb. But we know that's not so crazy. They can do
Right.
it. We know that because of Dolly the sheep, right?
Mhm.
Anything that we get, they get later. Huntsman, not Eccles. That's what it is. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. And so this is all very concerning when we think of how long did they have any technology that they give us
sure.
before they give it to us?
Right.
A long time. So long. So
Yeah.
makes me concerned about what they are doing with genetics and CRISPR studies. 100%. If you guys look up where the pioneering for that comes from, Howard Hughes Medical Institute. So
Mm.
kind of concerning. Concerned me, but I'm a weirdo. I think about homunculus. So
That another thing that kind of blew me away about that account that we've been referring to, where they're getting Mormon life fluid every single week, is just like a paragraph or two right after that. The individual is telling, everybody thinks of, and I don't believe this. I think this is a distraction, but they're saying that Epstein was a informant and he was just blackmailing these politicians. But what's interesting is this account shows him being blackmailed. That she says that, hey, and I'm not telling the feds about this, and I'm not going to as long as the money orders keep coming in. And so she's like, she's talking about how she's blackmailing Epstein, who is the supposed blackmailer. But at the same time, it makes me question. I'm like, well, does he really care? Like, why, if he's this powerful guy? Like in another email in there, people are going to him asking if somebody can be made an ambassador, as if Epstein is one of the puppets that are telling presidents who to make ambassadors. So if you're that powerful, is the DOJ really going to go after you? Like, and so it just, to me,
well,
there's some questions that I don't get yet.
I think that possibly if you get to a level that you are that way and you are making those plays and you are funded by Mossad, somebody's going to do what they did to him, whether or not he's around or not, like breathing or not, doesn't make any difference because he's now irrelevant. Same thing happened to Howard Hughes. Same
Right.
thing. And yes, I agree. Shout out Juan. I do not do homunculus work. I'm just talking about for this specific instance because he does a big podcast all about that. And 100% I listen to that with Juan and Paranoid American. So not my expertise, but I definitely know it exists. And I definitely have gone down the DNA part of that. So
Mhm.
because of interest in nursing and all that stuff, but I cannot claim any rights to that information for sure. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah,
Give credit where credit is due. Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's worth looking at. We know this. We know how quickly have studies and everything changed for impregnation of infertile women now. Okay, they have made these leaps and bound changes quickly. Okay, I would say quickly, in my opinion. And, I'm not saying any of those people's babies are hurt or whatever by this, but it does make you wonder where the heck did they understand this information from? You don't just willy nilly start making things and, throwing things in a pot and like, okay, I made one here. No, no,
I have
this
Newt,
was,
just throwing these
yeah.
things in the,
Right,
yeah.
right. Like, I made life. And that was the thing. The other thing that, Howard Hughes was concerned about and that he actually paid to investigate was the realization of where we come from and actual man. Like he paid a ton of money for this. And so it's crazy. I mean, but isn't crazy always what starts
Oh
something?
yeah. Well, this whole thing, right? You go back to even like the book Frankenstein and Mary Shelley, and
Yes.
how he was actually a part of an organization called the Hellfire Club, and so they were, that's we're going back to pre-Illuminati type stuff.
Yes.
And these guys are into, Frankenstein is basically a man playing God, creating life out of nothing, basically, type of idea. And so they're, these New World Order guys are working on this stuff for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Obsession. I would say obsession. And what are we as an American, right? What are we? I'll tell you guys something you can do. Read Francis Bacon. He will tell you all about it. Read about the Stuart line and why
Another
the heck,
Hellfire guy.
Right. Why the heck is the Stuart line alive and well here in Utah? I know, because I am one. Why does that make any sense? Why does that make any sense when they were poured on?
Which is funny because my family doesn't come back from pioneers. My parents were converts when they were teenagers.
But I bet they were on the Mayflower.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
This gets deep. Mayflower is where this starts, and way before. Like from what I'm reading recently, at least, Joseph Smith had 7 ancestors on the Mayflower, and so did Emma. Why did Emma? Because they're the same people. They were related. They were cousins. They were 4th cousins. And when we look at this, and not everyone was related back then, that's simply not true. There was only 100 people on the original Mayflower. But those first families, they're extremely important. And they definitely don't want us talking about them. I bet they're all at your dinner. Oh, boy. We're going to be in trouble. So, I mean, we've got some facts definitely circulating around this, right? We definitely have not only this life fluids thing, but we have, all this other stuff, these phone calls. There were phone calls made, to Provo people multiple times. He came out to Park City. He stayed here a lot. It talks about visits to Park City in 2016 at the Waldorf. This talks about a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay, bro, what are you doing here then? And my favorite one was him talking about visiting who? The prophet.
Can I show that on my screen?
Yeah, 100%. Always.
So right here, this is that email that you're referring to, where he's talking about that very thing, where he says he's talking about this Senate funding for cold fusion, and that it was, he was working with Wayne Owens, who he's a senator, but it was just a representative, but he's speaking generally as in a legislator. And he says, I was there and argued against it, and to meet with the head had to meet with the head of the Mormon church. And so this right here, I'm wondering what he means by that. Like he had to, like he was forced to, like, oh man, I had to, like, who's telling him to do that? Or is it like, I was in town and I had to have this meeting with him because we were working together on something. It's hard to tell with the context what he was meaning by that, but it's, there it is. It's very interesting. And so the email though was 2009, but fair, just again, giving credit where credit's due. One of the LDS apologists covering this is there. This is reference to a hearing that was back in, that happened 20 years previous. So in 1989. So who he's referring to is he met with Ezra Taft Benson in this meeting. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, Mr. Benson had some other interesting people that he met with along the way. And, the Khashoggi family comes up later. Like, I just think that there was a lot of stuff going on, right?
And he was instrumental in bringing Orrin Hatch to the state of Utah. And Orrin Hatch, I think it's well known. It's my opinion, at least. I thought it was well known that he was a lawyer. He was a mob boss lawyer.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it's like, come on, it's pretty weird.
I mean, and then that goes to who? Back to Howard Hughes. We got mob boss. We got Howard Hughes. And even if Howard's gone by then, it doesn't matter because the people that
the relationship still continue.
Yes. But who took over his stuff? Like who took over all of his people and everybody after Howard died? Onassis did. That gets into some interesting stuff. Let me tell you, I have a book here. I've been referencing this often. I have yet to do my show on Onassis because I bit off a big mouthful that I didn't realize. I thought, I'll just do this research. It'll be over. This is just his FBI documents, you guys. Just that. Just the declassified ones. Not all of them and not CIA. Just the FBI. Aristotle, Onassis. Okay. So when we get into people that, that song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, right? I mean, we got to look at the Kingstons. We got to look at the Kingstons with this pure blood, right? Not because of what they do. I care less about polygamy unless they're being hurt like underage or whatever, like any of that
Compelled.
stuff,
Right.
made, forced, whatever. But
Yeah.
honestly, if everybody's consenting, I don't care. That's why I don't talk that much about it. But if they're being held against their will, all that stuff, yes, I
Yeah.
care. But
Absolutely.
if everybody's consensual, don't care.
Yep.
Um, I've also said if you want to do magic and go be naked in the forest, run around like nymphs. I don't care. Look, I don't. I'm just trying to say, like, let's quit hoodwinking people,
Right.
right? Let's let people know what they're doing before they do rituals and weird stuff like that so that we can understand it. I think that's fair. I don't think I'm being unfair there. So I just think that the Kingstons are really critical when we look at this because even recently they got pulled over on the freeway, highway, whatever, with people in trucks. And they weren't just people, they were underage and
Hmm.
they were, taking them over state lines. People can see this. We just had Operation Hive Strike here. What was it? Maybe 6 months ago. And that was all like an inter school in charter schools and other schools where they took down people for kiddie stuff that is related to pizzas or hot dogs. I don't care, but like it's a problem. And we
Hmm.
see this a lot here in
Well, they're
Utah.
very influential. They donate tons of money to politicians, especially the attorney general's office. And
Yeah.
so, like, you don't see a lot of prosecutions. It appears because they are major financiers of these people in power.
Yes, 100%. And they do it with Mitt Romney. Don't think Mitt Romney didn't get a fat check from them. He definitely did, you guys. Like you guys got to look at the money trail, but the Kingstons, they always talk about this pure blood, right? They do. They are the pure people. They broke away from all us nut jobs and they're the pure line and whatever. And
Hmm.
then you brought up Illuminati. So we got to talk about James Strang, Jesse James Strang.
Yep.
Like, come on, he started the Halcyon Illuminati. We
Yeah.
what? He said the quiet part out loud. Whenever somebody says the quiet part out loud, guess what happens? They're no longer here. Guess who saved his executors? The government. A
Oh,
government ship just happened to be coming by and he was like, "Hey, you guys, you need a ride?" "Oh, okay, Mr. Navy on the lake."
and he
That's
was
weird.
protected for so long. Like he was a member of the legislature, and he was doing all this stuff, and nobody cared. And then it comes to a point where they're like, "Okay, now we're done protecting you."
Right. And it was all about abolition because he said that darker colored skin people worked way better than lighter colored skin people. Well, there that is.
Hmm.
Sorry. Like he was kind of, leaning toward Lincolnville, we'll say. And that didn't work out very well for people back then. Same thing with Joseph Smith. He was doing kind of that as well. He was pushing toward, more homogenous world. And anytime we do that, whoop, people go away, get arrested, thrown out windows, whatever the case may be. It's not
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Yeah. So, other things that are involved on this, any other emails or things you want to share
Oh,
real quick up on the screen?
there's a ton
Yeah.
of stuff. So, what's interesting in general, I find it to be just really fascinating, is the amount of fringe conspiracy email lists this guy's on. I mean, if you think we're fringe, like the stuff that Epstein was into was like, flat Earth, shape shifting lizard people type stuff. I mean, let me see if I can bring this up, and I think you'll
Guess
find it.
why he's bringing this up, you guys. Guess who else was? Howard Hughes. He said he talked to the aliens. Look up the
Oh,
Integratron.
fascinating. So this one I thought was interesting is the Illuminati. This is an email he gets, right? Illuminati families and their associates, and he's got this email with all these different family lines. I don't know why they separated the Bundy line. I don't know if that's different than the Mormon Bundys, but you have here the Rothschilds, the Russells, and then what is it? The Mormon leadership. And so I'm not sure how much that I put in stake into that, but it's definitely something
William
along.
Huntington Russell was Joseph Smith's fifth cousin. Just
Right.
FYI for
Yep.
everybody.
So you got the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and so this guy's getting emails about all this stuff. It's pretty wild.
So I have a question for you. Since
Yeah.
you are Stuart blood, I bet you're
Yeah.
related to all the presidents, huh? Almost all the presidents, because
I
I
would
am.
imagine. I mean, I looked at it. most of them were like within like 13, like, but that's like almost everybody within 13, 13th
Well,
cousin, type
here,
of thing.
yeah, absolutely. And
So,
and the King of England is literally my like eighth great grandpa, not 10 times removed. Like what?
oh,
What is
really?
going
That's funny.
on? Yeah,
Wow.
it's weird, is what it
Yeah.
is. And so when we get into the Talbot line, when I'm a Talbot, it was the hidden son of the king that went to South Africa, and people can look it up.
Hmm.
But I just think it's weird that we look at this stuff and, like you said, like, okay, we know that who came out with a book about this woo woo lizard people bloodline stuff,
Yeah.
Fritz Springmeier, right?
Hmm.
But then as soon as that happened, then, oh, he robbed a bank and he's a bad guy. Throw him out, right?
Yeah.
Does that make what he said any less true if he
Right.
robbed a bank? No,
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's
know.
the character assassination that everybody wants to do, is to make it all, we're going to assassinate your character. And so that way we don't believe the truths that you're saying.
Right. And do they do that on purpose? Like
Yeah.
Hoffman's. Hoffman was a very important family name for the Mormons. And it gets very deep into, books for the schools, all kinds of wild stuff. But when we
Yeah.
look at this, sometimes you have to step back and go, is it a conspiracy or did they get rid of him?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
So here's,
There's a weird.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just said weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
Weird,
it's
weird.
weird. So here's a text thread that it gets into, and this is what I was referring to before, where you've got this um, Anil Ambani, and he's asking Epstein, can David Peterson be ambassador to India? John Huntsman is going to Russia. So, he's mentioning, hey, this guy's being an ambassador. Can I make this guy the ambassador to India? And then and then Epstein's like, well, I'll ask about it. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. If
Whoa.
you've
Oh,
got that connection with
definitely.
John Huntsman.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. If I remember, what was this one about? Oh, BYU, BYU Idaho, and getting the money for her tuition from Jeff.
I thought it was pretty funny that his check bounced. I'm just saying. Okay, rich
Yeah, it's
guy.
pretty wild. So again, more BYU stuff. So if anybody wants to go, you go to the Justice Department's website and you just like type in the stuff that you want to learn about. Like you've got some stuff about, you've got this lady that's like sending him an email that's like, oh, I'm on my way to the Bohemian Grove. Let's see what this is all about. And they're just talking about it. And so you just type in these different things. There's no connection that I've found with. They haven't talked about Skull and Bones, but if you type in Illuminati, you see like just this stream of the weird email lists that he's on. Why is this
Right.
guy that's involved in this satanic, horrible stuff? He's doing rituals, right? He's doing this. There was one where you've got Bill Clinton grape soda-ing this little boy and doing rituals to the kid. And so why is this guy that's helped facilitating this involved with, in getting emails about the Illuminati and all these different weird, fringe conspiracy stuff?
All
It's,
right.
it's weird. I mean,
Well, I think it goes back to, the Canaanite religion. When we look at this stuff, like people can say magic isn't real. People can say it's all woo woo. People can say sex magic doesn't happen, or, these red fluids don't mean anything. But then
right.
what are cakes of light? Because they are real.
Well, and
That
that's
is
the
real.
thing with the Alfalfa Club. Well, whether they go back to ancient Egypt, that's irrelevant. They believe it, and so you have all of these elites where they publicly poo-poo conspiracy, where in their own they know it's real because they're a part of it, and so they're into it themselves. And so it's just they're total. It's all about gaslighting and just keeping it and telling you what you're seeing isn't real when they know that it's real and they know that it's real, but they're trying to fool the morons out there that are just going to follow whatever this influential person says it's bogus, so I'm going to not pay attention to it. And it gets
100%.
the mainliners to just, be like sheep, whereas the people, the extreme evil, and then the people that are awake to what's going on, no, these are the two sides that know what's going on, and everybody else is just totally clueless.
100%. And it all goes into, the organization, I believe, off the Mayflower. There's a grand conspiracy there too, that there were papers smuggled onto the Mayflower all about magic to carry on these traditions here by who? John D. And where did those papers go? Well, it gets interesting. They sure did end up in Salem. Everywhere where these things end up, there is weirdo woo woo stuff happening. And if you don't understand, Robert Seffer does a really good explanation about occult breakdowns or why these things would be happening or whatever, right? And you don't understand anything. I remember the first time I watched some stuff of his about magic, okay, and why they do certain rituals or whatever. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like this isn't crazy. This is religion. This is their religion. Oh, I didn't know. And so that gets terrifying because we know one thing about religion, whether magic or religion or whatever is true or false, if they believe it and they're willing to sacrifice literally anything for it, what does that mean? That you have some ultra dedicated, very scary people out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Like the hellfire stuff. Yeah. Like you said.
Here's an interesting one that I don't get. Maybe you or some of your viewers will be able to help me out here. But this email from, what's his name? Ike Groff. And you have Leslie talking about Hunter is coming also. I hope they can get basketball practice in. Ty has a doctor. And then the response is, we will. I think we get the LDS church. Do you know, like, what does that mean?
Weird.
I think it does. Is basketball code, or are they going to play ball at the local chapel? I didn't understand what that meant. So if anybody knows what that is, let me know.
And either way, what are they doing there?
Right.
And obviously kids are there. And
Right.
so unless it's code, which I mean,
Right.
so many things are. I mean, I keep running into the weirdest stuff. Like Joseph Smith's family may have been involved in a spy ring straight out the gate. Never knew that one. Old books are crazy. Like you start reading things and you're just like, what? Just when I think I have a little bit figured out, not people always say, you think you know everything. I don't know hardly anything. I'm trying to figure it out. Like that's all I'm doing. And it's still, I can't, because every time we turn around, there's some weird stuff like this, right?
Yep.
Where you just throw up your hands and go, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why? I don't know.
And then we mentioned the Alfalfa Club earlier. There's another document in the list that talks about it. I mention it in my book Invasion. So if anybody wants more information that you don't get anywhere, like literally nowhere else, get my book Invasion. But let me see. Here's the share. You have this where they're having this email discussion. He says his problem is that he knows no one and he's worried about his reputation now and in the future and wants to remain apolitical. Not sure that's realistic under this administration. He thinks Trump likes him and will see him tonight at Alfalfa and will also see Jared. So these guys are all going to, the Alfalfa Club, and they're all, again, the elites are all meeting together, and they're meeting at these occultic
Jared,
gatherings.
huh? That makes me think of, I only know one Jared that I would be interested in wondering if it was Jared Birchall, Elon Musk's number one money guy. But hey, whatever. Maybe not. He's a Mormon. Maybe he was there.
Or was it or Kirch? Wasn't his son-in-law?
Oh yeah, that one too. Like I mean, you just step back and go, okay, what the heck,
Right. Yep.
I don't
So
know.
here's the email about the Bohemian Grove. On my way to California and to try to understand about the people in the Bohemian Grove. Like what? Like that's what you will never see in an email that I send to somebody.
Me either. Count me out. Count me out.
It's just wild. And then he gets his email, transatlantic pedophilia connections. Like he's on these email lists about this stuff that is being sent to the FBI. So it's not like they don't know about it. it's not like the government doesn't know about it. They're all being, it's all, in these emails to them. And he's of course on the list of the emails. And so it's just everything that, people like us have been telling people is what's going on. And here's the proof.
Right. Right. And you see this. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the little clip that I shared on X. Everybody can go check it out. Of Barbara Bush, right, talking about putting her baby that didn't make it from a natural, so she says, loss, right, in a jar. And I'm like, okay, look, we've got these pickled punks back in the day. This is what they call them, and they are real. But the copious amount of them is what concerns me, not the fact that they
Right.
exist. The fact that they exist is like, okay, I could see, science, oddity, blah, blah, blah. But, when we get into just one guy, okay, one person, Aldrovandi, okay, who, by the way, he wasn't a royal, but he was super good friends with the family, with the papacy. Okay, I'll read that in a second. But the sheer amount of these that he had, I'm going to let you take a fun little guess because this is always fun for me to ask people. How many do you think he had in his collection of
No
these
idea.
babies in drawers?
I have no idea.
Take a stab at it.
Like half a dozen.
He had 18,000.
What that's crazy.
And these are in a museum. And also, the over in Russia, they have a museum full of this stuff. So, when I read this and the fact that his mother, Veronica, I'm going to try Marishalchi, was a first cousin of Pope Gregory the Eighth, and this relationship was crucial to his career. But they gave him financial aid and political protection after heresy arrests and commissioning for him to be like arrested over these scientific projects. He was also a very close friend of Francesco de Medici, the Grand Duke of Tuscany. And so, look, one guy, 18,000. And the specimens are bananas. I'm a nurse, registered nurse, 27 years. I've never seen some of the weird deformities that I've seen in some of these jars. And they're like not this big, they're big. They're big, full term. Where they've got like crazy growths on their head and cyclops eyes and crazy stuff. Is this the product of what they were doing early on that continues on at the Zorro Ranch later? Because we know that they were doing actual like birth type studies there. We do know that.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's concerning for me. Were they working out the kinks?
Right.
I don't know.
It's unrelated. Well, it's semi-related, but what you just discussed reminded me of another report that I did about these connections of these Council on Foreign Relations members, these globalists that have all these connections to these different institutions. And you remember with all of the pizza stuff with the Podestas, and you remember the statues and the collections that they had that were really disturbing?
Oh, yeah.
There's this place right here, it's right by the Shriners Hospital in Salt Lake City. And if you look at this is private property. It's surrounded by a fence. This guy's a former ambassador. And this is one of the major, what's it called? You have sculptures outside of his home. You can't really zoom in too much, but it has like human faces, baby parts, all, different body parts and different hammers and different things pushed into this giant sculpture on this guy's property. And then you go and you let's see here. You zoom into his property here from above, and he's got, see if you can see it on this angle. Maybe not, but it's got the spiral pedo symbol from the sky. It's got naked children statues at different parts right around here, over here on his property. And so like all of these things that remind me of the Podesta artwork sculptures, this is all happening right in Salt Lake City, where this guy's got this fenced off lot. He's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. He's an ambassador. He's a part of all these different, elite organizations. And just that same thing that's going on over with these other individuals. It's not just an isolated case, is what I think the point that I'm trying to make here is. This is entrenched in the power structure of every level of government, and it's in plain sight. And nobody on the local level is doing anything about it. Nobody on the national level is doing anything about it. And so those people that would have the authority to stop this are either complacent in on it, or just too afraid to act. It's just wild.
Absolutely. And then that little design that you said was the pedo sign, the
Yep.
the spiral. It's not only that; it's actually used in magic and witchcraft. Okay, so it can be used for like a portal type thing, like pulling down if it's done in once, like the spiral jetty here in Utah, and it
Mhm.
pulls down if it's done in a certain way, the energy from above to below, or it can be vice versa. Okay, but it's very weird that they have this huge, thing in the sand, right? Like, oh, we got to protect this big sculpture. And it's literally to pull down entities into this universe. Supposedly,
Did we lose you again?
they didn't like that. That they can use for witchcraft. So vortex, that's what I said. And Howard Hughes was obsessed with vortexes. He was obsessed with time travel. In fact, a lot of people say he was a time traveler. And there were accounts of him
Oh,
in
wow.
Italy back in the day that people recounted him being in Italy way back when, like some old people that knew him. And it was, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Right. But if
Yeah.
magic didn't work, I'll tell people this. If magic didn't work at all, yeah, you might get some wild, culty people that are like, "Ooh, we're going to do this thing," and it might work until those people pass away, but if it never worked, is it really going to sustain? Probably not.
Right.
But if it worked, I mean, probably so. They're going to continue that tradition. And I mean, Parker Brothers did with the Ouija
Right.
board. John D told us we could talk to things outside of this ether. Okay. And then they publicized it as a children's game. Why would they do that? Well, it goes deeper than people want to think. And that's because it sounds crazy. I get it.
Right.
It
Right.
I don't know what else to say about that, but you've got people that make crackers out of menstrual stuff. So
Oh, yeah. And what's the sacrament is made out of that. I mean,
yes,
the wine, and then the wafer is made out of men's productive fluid.
absolutely. Because if you guys ever read about the Fraterna Saturni, you'll understand like a lot of this stuff goes way back. And, even John
And this
D
isn't
wasn't
like your like
the only
gothy
one.
teen. And this
No,
isn't like some fringe whack job that's wearing black makeup. It is
nope.
literally the guys like these people that we're talking about that are in the Epstein files.
Right. 100%. And this keeps popping up time and time again, right? Like if you look at some like crazy psychics, like, oh, let's look at this crazy psychic from the 70s. And then you find out, yeah, he worked for the CIA forever or whatever. Like I mean, it's weird,
You got the
like
Franklin cover up out in Nebraska talking about the same exact stuff. You've got the SRA stuff with the Glenn Pace memo. I mean, it's not like we have all of the data. None of this stuff should be a surprise to anybody. This has been around for that, public for at least 40 years. And here we are, like all shocked and surprised now and then you've got the apologists saying, just because someone's name is mentioned, doing such and such, doesn't mean it's true. Come on.
at what point is it true? How much
Right.
evidence do we need before we say, okay, pretty weird? I don't know.
If somebody
I
were
don't
to say
know.
something about me, you get 6 people saying the same thing about me. I mean, come on. People are going to start to believe it. But all of a sudden it's, it's our favorite politician or our favorite religious leader. And now we're like, well, I need video evidence. Oh, there's video evidence. That was obviously AI. And so, it's what's it going to
Exactly.
take?
No, I think it will never be sussed out because it is too crazy. And when you get people like Andrea Puharich, okay, he totally was a made man. He totally is involved in three-letter agencies. And yet he's doing literally the show Stranger Things is based off of what he was doing. And
Mm.
so when we see that kind of stuff, we have to step back and go, wait, what? Like, that seems crazy. True, it does. He kept kids in Faraday cages, for a while, but hey, whatever. People don't want to believe it. There are pictures. There is a girl and multiple kids that are still alive today that talk about this stuff, and she became a crazy Satanist. But hey, whatever,
I think
far be it
people
from
are too
me.
afraid, like if to recognize that this is real, that means if they're a moral person, they're going to have to do something about it. And so they don't want that. And so they have to make, mental gymnastics on why they don't have to do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then all these freaking movements, like, weird stuff that they've started, or weird people like, Ted Bundy, these people being involved with the Mormon church. What the heck is going on with that? Like, why? Right?
Mhm.
Carrie Thornley, you know about Carrie Thornley's movement?
I don't.
Okay, so he started, some pretty weird stuff on his own, and he's also like super into the whole JFK business and the
Mm.
assassination. He was like acquainted with Lee Harvey Oswald, blah blah blah. But he's the founder of Discordianism. Do you know what that is at
Mm-mm.
all? So he was a Mormon, you know, like, okay, that's weird. And then, of course, he's involved in three-letter agencies. Like, we see this over and over and over and over and over. Just like that's why I bring him up as an example, because I'm like, okay, there's nothing new under the sun here. This is not, this is a playbook from Canaan. Okay. We've got the Sykes family, one of the most prominent, important families for JE. I'm not going to say the last word letter there because we'll be in trouble. And they were super important, okay? And we've got them involved at George Washington's inauguration. Everybody, all these super important people, but his son is teaching Joseph Smith Hebrew because they're nobodies and they live on a farm and they're dumb farmers. No, that's weird. What is happening there? I mean, they're bankers. They escaped the Inquisition in Portugal to come here and do banking, of course. And then what does the Macs do? They run off and start banking too. Stephen Mack, he starts banking in Pontiac, where he is considered one of the founders. I mean, I know Chief Pontiac discovered it, but I guess, the Mac, Stephen Mack, was the first permanent resident there for a while. And so why is that never spoken about as a Mormon? That would have been super important to me. Like, oh, wow. The Max went on to find Mactown, Illinois, and he married like this Indian princess lady and like all this stuff. And they started banks and had a scandal. And then he dies like 4 days later or something. Like, that's crazy. Like, why are they not speaking about any of that?
Yeah.
Huh? Weird. I don't know. You can't make it up. You don't even have to.
And that should be just interesting, I think, to people. I mean, it shouldn't.
Right.
So, I don't know.
But it leads, I mean, if you go down the list too far, you end up at Salem and Salem witchcraft trials and Joseph Smith's great-great-grandpa, whoever was involved in it, and so it becomes messy. And
Well,
then
almost like
it
in some
yeah,
ways, yes, but I think only to maybe a fringe group of people, because like you look at they remember they had their "I'm a Mormon" campaign,
right.
and there was this one where like the husband and wife were both UN employees. They're like, I'm a UN employee and I'm a Mormon. It's like, who is that appealing to but New World Order crowd? Like you would think like that would get most members of the church be like, what? But it's like, to me, like sometimes they just don't even care.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, okay, wait, what are you doing? Like, I think that my favorite one was one of your stories that you shared about Godby. Like, okay, first of all, the whole Federal Reserve business with, his little protege, but
Hmm.
also the fact that where did he get his idea to mine, which by the way, Godby drilling is still today. It is still today. So where did he get that idea from? Table tapping.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, but here we are. We're in Crazyville, so I don't know. Like, I
And
mean,
it's
we
like,
have to
and
look at it.
that's BYU like wrote a book about him doing like and saying all that stuff. So it's like it's not even like, this isn't like anti-Mormon. This is all stuff BYU has
Right.
published.
Mm-hmm. Well, but they don't want it out there now because they're not Mormons anymore. Let us not
Okay.
forget. And also because you might just trace yourself back to, I don't know, after they had Mary Eastie hung. Well, that was critical for Samuel Smith, not Captain Samuel Smith, but Samuel Smith, born in 1666. If anybody wants to fact check me, then the Goulds, who are extremely important at Salem, right? Like anybody that knows the Salem witchcraft trials, that's one of the top main people. The Goulds marry with the Smiths for 6 generations down. This stuff is locked and loaded bloodlines. This stuff is lit bloodlines, period. Like, I don't know what to do about that. So, is he a bloodline? That's my wonder. Are they trying to keep their bloodlines pure back to the Kingstons? That's my question. I mean, I don't know that answer. I don't know. But it's weird. It's strange. There's got to
I
be a
haven't been to a
reason.
Sunday school lesson on it, so.
I know. I wish they would be a little more forthright, with some of this. I think they would get less flack, honestly, if they would stop the whole, chase benevolence, because it's baloney.
Oh, yeah,
Everybody
right.
makes mistakes. Yeah.
Well, and if you just were, if you were just, you would deflate all the criticism right off the bat. If you bring it up, you're like, yeah, we already talked about that.
Gaslighting extraordinaire, right? They'd have to send us to reprogramming Sunday school. I don't know. Where they teach us MK Ultra. Here, look at this pen. Forget everything you just heard. But this is only the tip of the iceberg, right? Like, I mean, how many files are there? We can't go through all that in a split second. There's no way.
Oh, just digging through it. Yeah. And so I think this would be a great thing, is if anybody wants to help, crowdsource this whole thing, search for BYU, search for Mormon, search for LDS Church, Latter-day Saint, Utah, names, John Huntsman.
Yeah.
I've already in council on, it's interesting too. Just reminded me, I did a search for council on foreign relations, and all of these things are not like, oh, he's a member or he's talking to members of the CFR. No, he is meeting regularly with the organization and its leaders.
Wow.
People are talking about, it drives me crazy when people are like, oh, that's just no, it's not a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy fact.
Yes.
And, this is really happening, folks. We got to stop saying, oh, wouldn't that be crazy? No, it's not just, it's real. It's happening. We got to stop making the council, pretending like it's not.
You bring up the Council of Foreign Relations. So there are literal Mormons that we know 100% are on or have been on the Council of Foreign Relations, right?
Dong, for example, there was a 70 during the 80s or 90s that was a member of the CFR, John Huntsman Jr., member of the CFR. This goes on and on and on.
100%. And then we get, Godby. I think Godby is so important. What you bring up with Godby, for me, tied so much together for me to go research other places, like his mining endeavors. Well, who did he sell those to? Do you know? Because I do. He sold them to the Queen. How much of our land is owned by not America anymore?
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
Kennecott
is worse than that. Even worse. But yes, Kennecott is owned by the Crown. And here we are, and we say, okay, what is happening here? Like, you are completely correct by stating this has been overtaken by certain people, and it didn't start out that way. It did not. That's not how Utah started. That's not.
Right.
Sad. It's kind of sad to me, because all they came here supposedly for.
It's the exact opposite of what they came here for.
Right. What is this? This is not the Order of Enoch. This is not that. This is not what they had planned. And despite what anybody may think, and even me, I have to always say, I give them props where props are due. What they tried to do was valiant. What they did wasn't.
Sure.
Sad. It's sad. Yeah. I mean,
when people say, all these different things about they were in cahoots, like, no, the attacks against the leaders of the church by the federal government during that time period was real. Even though, you got John Taylor meeting with, what's his name? A Rothschild. it was one, one or two meetings, but what is the general occurrence going on? It is they are trying to throw them in jail. They are trying to stamp them out. They are, they are official government documents, military documents are saying that Mormons are a new species that needs to be stamped out. I mean,
And
it's
that goes to my thoughts on
right,
this whole species thing. I'm just saying, keep
right.
going.
Well, the official military document says that we are a new species with a cadaverous visage. That is what the federal government said about Mormons.
I mean, whoa. Right? We
So, I
get
mean,
into that. Whoa.
the attacks of the conspiracy against the early settlers of Utah is indisputable. It is what it is.
And Sherry just in the chat here, she said Hawaiians literally say we are not Americans. Well, who married into that line? The
Mhm.
Mormons did. The Mormons marry into the
Oh,
Queen's
with the
line in Hawaii. It's very important. People need to look at what happened, especially with the treaties from the Native Americans and Prince Madog, which I just barely did a show on, and all this stuff that seems crazy. Okay. But like if Columbus didn't get here first and Prince
mhm.
Madog did, and John Dee says he did, and John Dee wrote about it. And if that is true, and he
John D.
planted
Lee
his
or John
little
D. Rockefeller.
John Dee the magician for Elizabeth the
Oh,
First's
so different, not
court.
not the Mormon John D. Lee.
He's a magical guy.
Oh, okay,
So he
gotcha.
was basically Elizabeth the First's, you know, consort for
Oh, got
astrology and coronation date and all this stuff. But he was super important. And guess what he did? He talked to angels and he knew how to do it. And he actually built a whole like table for it. And like it's very complicated, but he did a lot of magic that aligns with some of the stuff we see early on, you know,
yeah.
in America. So in Rosicrucianism, all kinds of stuff, but Mormonism as
You,
well, but not the only ones. I want to say not the
it's
only
interesting you
ones.
bring that up because you've got Godby, who was an enemy of Brigham Young, right? He was into the occult, he was into table tapping, all of that stuff. And then you've got on the federal level, you've got Abraham Lincoln, him and his wife Mary Todd. They're all into that, and they are staunch enemies of Brigham Young as well. And
Table
so
tapping.
it's all
Yes.
this, it's very to
Well,
me.
and Stanford, the lady that went and they call her the mother of Stanford. Okay, this
Mhm.
might help your stuff, like when you do connects with the
Yeah, yeah,
spider brain, like I call it, with the red string all over my
yeah,
brain.
yeah.
I don't know. And so the lady that founded Stanford, she had a very Mormon last name. So I was like, this lady, Huntington, hey, I
Mhm.
need to check her out. So I was like, all right, let's see what's up here. So I start looking into her and they're like, no, no, she's an avid spiritualist. She was, but her family, they were Mormon. And
Mm.
so she's super into this weird spiritualist movement, but she goes on to do what? She goes on to sell her parts of the railroad super cheap to who? The Mormons.
Mm.
And it's just always something like this, right? Like they're all connected and I can't quite figure out the piece of the puzzle. Is it blackmail, like you said? Are they pushed into it? Or is it magically aligned? I don't know. Is it part of the grand scheme of things because the Rosicrucian papers made it over here? That's my thought. But you know, I'm going to bring up a lot of this in my history ones that I'm going to be doing. It's almost
Mhm.
done, and then I was actually going to do that next, and then the Epstein files came out, and I was writing up my stuff, and my husband was sitting by me, and I just started shaking my head. He's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is gonna get paused for a minute. Like this is, oh,
The thing
this
I
is
hate to do,
serious."
like we're doing this show, and I hate to do all the research on it right now because I know there's a bunch more files coming out. And I'm like, I don't want to like have it get mixed together. I'm like, I just want all the files to go through at once and not have to like in 2 weeks go through the files again and wonder, oh, did I already see that? Is this new?
Right.
That kind of stuff. So
Right. No, it's confusing, and that's why
yeah,
they did it like that. They're
oh, I'm
doing
sure.
it on purpose.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
did the same thing with JFK because I'm like super into the whole JFK business because of course Mormons are there. And Mormon mafia. Like, what are you doing here? Like, why? Like you said, this room full of people that don't make any sense. I love that because you're like, what are you do? What are you doing here? Why
Right.
are you here? I didn't even want to study about you today. Like, go away. You're stalking me, Mormons history. Like, it's horrible. And I just sit back and go, okay, if we really have a bottom line, it doesn't have to be everyone, right? Like you don't have to say every single person in the Mormon church was bad at the very beginning because blah, blah, blah.
Right.
No, no. Who got bought off? Who got roped in? Who got blackmailed? Like all this, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know that answer. I wished I knew. I wished I knew, but I don't. But this doesn't scream well, especially with the Mossad. I'm sure you know.
Mhm.
You know, the Mossad ties not just for Epstein, but for the Mormon church. And
Well, I wonder
so,
too if the Mossad ties are a distraction, because I think it's much more than just Israeli blackmail. I think it's much
the
deeper that
Jesuits
this.
are involved
But I mean,
100%.
but it shows what to me what nobody's really focusing on when they talk about it being this is just Mossad, you know, blackmail is there. What you're saying is that this isn't normal amongst the elites. It is. You don't
Right.
blackmail these guys that are in charge of the people that could. Who is going to put these guys in jail? Nobody. You don't blackmail somebody that controls who's going to put you in jail. It's like,
No.
like it's like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars is going to get blackmailed by who? And
No, they end up gone. Mm-mm,
right, well, yeah,
mm-mm.
and so to me, I don't buy the blackmail thing because they
Right.
have the control to just make stuff. They control the DOJ, they control the FBI. Is who's going to put them in jail? Nobody, and so
Right.
I don't buy the blackmail thing.
Well, they just take people out, whether it's real or not. Look, I don't care if they are taken to Antarctica in a crazy bunker under the ocean. I don't know. I
Right.
do know they've got some real weird access. That sounds crazy, but
And the people, and they
Ghislaine
block
over
everybody
there.
else from coming.
Yeah, well, Ghislaine over there is a submarine driver, so that's pretty weird. I don't know. Like,
That's
I
totally
don't
normal, right?
know. Yeah, like what? That's just your regular job. Like your homie job is just I'm a submarine driver. Like what? Yeah, that's a great girlfriend to have. No wonder, right? Like,
Right.
but her dad too disappeared, right? Like these
Oh, for
people
sure.
disappear.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
whether or not it's real or like people talk about Kirk and everything, oh, he's still alive somewhere. I don't care. He's not talking. He's
Right,
not
right. Yeah, he's
talking.
gone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So whatever's happening is definitely like clearly they had to fix something. JFK
Right.
Jr., all of them
Something.
because like you said, they're probably being too noisy, right? Noisy,
Or
noisy,
something. I'm not
noisy.
James Corbett did a really good report on the JFK deal. I don't think JFK was a threat to the conspiracy. I think he was a part of it, and that it was probably more like a martyr effect to get rid of him, as opposed to silencing their enemy. I don't think he was their enemy.
King kill. Well,
King,
I think
JFK, RFK.
yep, I think that the point of him trying to mess with Goldback, that really screwed him. Like, people weren't liking
Well, that's
that.
actually so in The Creature from Jekyll Island, he addresses that. And it was actually an executive order that was in place, and they weren't getting rid of the Federal Reserve note. It was actually part of federal law that said that they were required to do so. So it wasn't like anything special JFK did with that, actually. And so I think it's
Okay.
really important that, in The Creature from Jekyll Island by Jerry Griffin, he gets into and shows why that's a misunderstanding of the facts. So that wasn't why they got rid of him.
But the funny thing is 56 days before he died, he came here to Utah. And,
Oh yeah.
you know,
And you've seen
the
the pictures
thing,
with him and McKay.
the nice little handshake they
Yeah,
did,
yeah, yeah.
their little secret handshake. I think it's secret societies all day long. And that's why I love your work because you are trying. This is crazy to me. Like, literally, you've been screaming this for I don't know how long, but like when I found you,
Yeah.
I was like, why is when I contacted you, I was like, why is nobody talking? Like, this stuff is crazy, man. I double checked, I fact checked the crap out of you before I even contacted you
All the
because
receipts.
yeah, because I want to see, right? Like, I want to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure that I'm not talking to somebody that's not mentally sound or whatever. I mean, it's the world is a crazy place.
I can't
So
make any
I was like,
promises there.
right. I was like, "Did you table tap this or is this real?" Right? That's what I basically wanted to know. And
Right,
you
right.
were like, "No, no, no." And I'd already caught all of it, right? I already went back through everything. I'd already looked at what you'd said. I found books that but like literally it verifies
Yeah.
what you say. And so, that's not even getting into the Alta Club. You know that Alta Club book I bought? I haven't even deep dove it yet cuz this mess, but it does say one thing on the very intro. Made me laugh a little. It said, the elites come to Utah. Huh. Oh,
Wonder where I
put
heard
it
that
on the
before.
front page. Yeah.
What's funny is there's a couple of different editions. You've got the red one, I've got a dark blue one. So there's a couple of
And
editions.
it's weird. It's weird. And the Freemason book I accidentally bought, like, I mean, I
Yeah.
had no idea I was going to get it that day. It is literally like their book for a dinner. The like invitation is inside of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was a bad day for anybody that saw me get that book because their family names are listed, every freaking person. So I'm like, for like who was what secretary, blah, 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 for like all the olden days stuff, nothing
Yeah.
now. I wouldn't dox anybody. I'm just saying this like the 1800s and nobody cares.
Right.
But it was interesting to me to see the people and know that all the really important people, right? I thought that the prophet was chosen because he was the most chaste and benevolent good guy. Wait, why are they all involved in some crazy stuff later on? Right? Not at the beginning so much, but later on it gets weird. And I'm like, what? And why are they all of a sudden all going to Harvard and Yale and blah, blah? Like joining secret societies, probably got bones in their bags. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you're grinding up, putting in people's tea. I don't want to know. Like, come on. Or I do if you're going to lie to everybody. But I'm being serious. Like, maybe
Right.
they can't tell on each other because they have each other's grandpa's stuff. Like, their bones are at his house and he has his. And who even knows? I
Well,
don't
they're
know.
religiously dedicated. They believe in this stuff, and they're going to make sure that they keep the secrets that they've been told to keep secrets on.
Absolutely. And they do some horrendous things to have to make sure that that's going to be kept. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, including getting
There's a
buried in a
great movie, if
coffin.
anybody is on YouTube, called Brotherhood of the Bell. It is
I
one of the
watched that.
Fords did that, and
Yes.
back in the 70s, made for TV movie, Brotherhood of the Bell,
It's
and
very
it's
good.
really it's code for the Skull and Bone Society, and it just shows you exactly how they work, and aired once and then gone.
It
But
was The
thankfully, we
Eyes
got
Wide
YouTube.
Shut before The Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah,
That was a
it's
good
a
movie.
made for TV version, right? Not with all
Whew.
the trashy stuff in it.
Yeah. But it does show you like how crazy he thought he
Oh
was,
yeah,
like all that stuff. Like I think it was almost better because, in Eyes Wide Shut, they were kind of like low key and not really upset right that much. They're like, okay, whatever, blah. And
right.
and it wasn't super serious. But this guy, he's like losing his mind. And
Oh
I
yeah,
I, I actually liked it better.
definitely. And it's like there was the Skulls movies as well. You remember those in the early 2000s? And
Mm-hmm.
those to me, those were too much Hollywood eyes. Where right, it's just drama and not reality. Whereas Brother of the Bell, I'm like, this is like I can see this being
Mm-hmm.
the way it is.
Yep. 100%. So what did you think about some of these people that we know and look up to on this list?
On
On
the
the
Epstein
flight log.
stuff or
Mhm.
what? Well, I
Yeah,
was
on the
just
flight logs.
on the oh well, that's the thing is like there was another organization that did this thing that showed these flight paths going to the island, and in his black book, the only individual in his black book in the state of Utah is John Huntsman, and we've got one plane coming from Salt Lake to the island, and so I don't know if that was him, but we've got one here and then one here. Math is math. I can't say anything, but I mean, it's just pretty wild. So to me, I'm like, just like, okay, yeah, these elites are definitely, it, it, it's one of those things where when you know something, you're like, I know that. And then when you see it, it's like, holy crap. It's just like, it's not a surprise, but it's just like, whoa. I mean,
It's reality
it's not a
in real
shock. It's
life.
just crazy. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
I don't know
like
how to put it.
your worst dreams come to reality, right? You're
Right.
like, "Whoa, what is happening here?" And I think that the biggest thing that they can do is sensationalize it the most they can, let out the worst things first, like they have, like some crazy stuff, because nobody's gonna believe anything
Right. Oh
at
yeah.
all. And
And get their
so
minions to control the narrative. I mean, what did you see before Charlie Kirk died? He was like, "I trust my friends in the FBI," and then you've got
mhm.
this guy, what's his name, that just left. He was a talk show host, and then went to the FBI? Not Cash Patel, but the other guy with the bald head, and
Oh,
can't remember his name. But he,
I don't
he's going. He's like, I've really. When he's on the radio, he's like, "I'm going to release the Epstein files," and he gets in charge, and he's like, "There's nothing here," and just totally covers the whole thing up. And
don't
so
look.
yeah, don't look. You have all the mainstream conservative talking heads that are telling you that it's, this is all propaganda from the Democrats. If there was anything real, it's like these people, they're like, hey, if there was anything about Trump in there, the Democrats would have released. Like, you're so myopic where you don't understand that these guys, Trump and Biden, are on the same team.
Yes, yes. It's called mobsters. It's called
Yes.
mobsters. And the thing about that is if anybody doubts that, and people are always going to say, in fact, somebody said to me this week, well, you say all this stuff about him, and I don't see any other people like doing good stuff for people or helping kids or blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The thing about it is if he is who a lot of people think he is, I'm not talking about myself. If he is the one to usher in the Antichrist, it comes by peace, not a sword. People need to pay attention to this and also pay attention to what people are saying in other religions that start with a J about this whole situation, because they talk a lot about it and their savior is not our savior. It's different. And so when you talk about that and you look at it, does it align? What does it align with? If you look at Sabbatai Zevi, the people that do want to burn down the world, kind of like what we talked about before we went live, people always say, well, that's the most heinous, crazy, horrible stuff you could ever do. I'm like, right. Yeah.
Yep. I
Why?
agree. I
Yep.
agree.
Why would they do it? Because they believe that, and Sabbatai Zevi's movement is they will bring it themselves. They will take the control and do all the horrible stuff so that they can make it happen. They're trying to make the end of the world happen by being heinous, by doing the worst possible things they can do. So, what do you do with that? You know?
Well, that's why I think they created the rapture cult movement, because you go back to the what's it called, Darby and McDonald, where this whole movement starts in the early 1830s, where they're telling you that if you are standing up against evil, you're fighting against the return of the Savior. And they get these dark revelations, and they start this whole movement. You get the Schofield Bible, where you control these Christians to believe that they need to usher in as much wickedness as possible to be able to have the return of the Lord. And that is just the most heinous, horrible, wicked thing I can think of. And that's why you have these Left
Absolutely.
Behind series and these Omega Code movies, is to get these Christians to think that that's what we need to be able to have the Lord return.
I'm going to tell people this about two things, about one, about Trump and Roy Cohn. If you want to know who Trump is, look up Roy Cohn and just look at the boards he's on and look at Permandex come up and look at the strings he pulls and look at, the Mary Carter Paint Company and look at the people that supposedly kidnapped Howard Hughes and how they quickly rise to be the first creators of Interpol. Like, I'm sorry, what? Oh, but he was a Mormon too. Don't worry. They're always there. And it's so weird that you almost can't, you're like, what? Why? But they're not the only ones, right? It's just my focus.
Sure.
But other people come up. Like Rosicrucianism comes up. Sirhan was a Rosicrucianism person. He had a little, card. I have a copy of it. Was he used? Yep, 100%. But who was ultimately the shooter, right? Like he was shot from behind. It was a Mormon. He worked
wow.
specifically. Yeah. Yeah. Thane Eugene Caesar is absolutely tied to the Mormon church, worked for the Mormon church, worked at Skunk Works, and only had that job 3 days. People can go check out 1, 2, 3, and 4 Mormon Mafia that I did, and you can see those. But like all of this stuff, I never asked to see. I was researching other things in my own little business, and this comes up, and I'm like, well, what about this? That's how it always happens,
Yeah.
But it's all been taken over. The point is, every time you turn around from one big conspiracy to one big weirdo religion, culty weird thing to another one, to another one, to another one. And I'm specifically talking about like these weird ones, not talking about the church right now. I'm talking about offshoot, strange cults, strange, weird stuff. It always pops up. And I'm like, Marie Ogden and her weird cult out here, like all this weird, crazy stuff. And you just shake your head and go, yeah, this isn't real life, but it was for them.
Right.
Just like Ted Bundy. Like, what the heck is he doing in the Mormon church? Like, I don't know.
Or Elizabeth Smart, and the fact that, when she was kidnapped, and the things that I've had firefighters that were at the crime scene, and the things that they found on the dad's computer, and that, he gets off scot-free. It's crazy.
Weird. So I accidentally met him once.
Oh, wow.
This is the weirdest story ever. I was just minding my business trying to buy furniture, and he owned this weird Well, it wasn't weird. It was just weird that he owned it and he was there because I looked at my husband and I was like, "Hey, is that how I think it is?" And he's like, "Yep." And I was, like, stuttering. I think he could tell we were, like, weirded out, and we quickly left. Not because of him or anything, it was just a lot, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I gotta go." But, like, the Green River Killer, his brother was an avid LDS guy, like, all these people that they never mention, and it's not just that, it's not. I'm talking these are fringe society, I'm not talking mainstream, I'm not. But then we get into David M. Kennedy. If you wanna go mainstream, well, don't deep dive him and think that the papacy isn't involved because holy crap,
Hmm.
God's banker completely involved, with who? Yeah, David M. Kennedy, Michelle Sindona, his best friend. What the
And the
heck is
David M.
happening here?
Kennedy Political Center and the BYU is in
Yes,
bed completely with the Council on Foreign Relations.
right. So when people say a new world order is coming, and I just shake my head and I'm like, right, we're
Did
in
Don get
trouble.
here already?
Yeah, we are in trouble.
Yep.
I am concerned about what has occurred over lots of years. I don't even know if we can fix it, but we can fix us. We can fix what we can fix, right? We can
Well, we can stop
band
obeying
together.
Satanists. I think that's a good
Yeah,
start.
right. We can band together against wrong. That's wrong. Okay, if they're doing weird stuff, it's not wrong to be one. It's wrong to do bad things to animals and children and weird stuff. Like if you want
Right.
to
Yeah. You
be,
get like the Franklin cover up. If anybody hasn't watched Conspiracy of Silence, it's going to disturb the crap out of you, but you need to watch it. It's on
yes,
Rumble. If you've never, it's about the Franklin cover up and the satanic ritual abuse that's going on with these kids over in Nebraska. And it matches exactly what's going on in the Glenn Pace memo and
yep.
the evil and the people that are involved, right? It's the same people involved, the same names you hear in the Epstein list, you will hear in the Franklin cover up.
And you will see on the Pilgrim Society ledger,
Mm.
100%. If not the same, but the families,
Sure,
you
sure,
know what
sure.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like you've tracked, that was Royal Society before that. Like you've laid these societies out. I mean, we can see it. We do need to stand up and say, that's enough of that. Our
Mm.
children, our families, our dogs. I don't care. Like, stop it. This gets weird. Stop.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys want to go do weird stuff in your grove with yourselves and your stuff, you go do that. But leave us
Just
out
don't
of it.
rule over me.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, we're tired of it. We don't like
Yeah.
this anymore. So, and don't use people and say you're doing one thing and do another. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, that
That's
so reminds me. There was this video of Jeffrey Epstein that I just saw recently, where this guy's interviewing him and he's asking him, "Are you, the devil incarnate?" And he says, "Is your money, dirty money?" And he's like, "No." And he's talking about, he's like, what you need to do. Jeffrey Epstein's asking, you need to ask the mom of the kid that I cured from polio. Do you wish I didn't donate? So like basically, gaslighting the guy, saying, that you're a bad person if you don't think my money should go help cure people. And that's exactly what these guys, do, is they make it like, I've heard people personally tell me, we can't let the Epstein files out because that's going to lead to a collapse of the economy and my children are going to starve because of that. It's like, you're a
You mean you killed
psycho.
grandma? You mean you
Right.
killed grandma because
Yeah.
2020, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm not
psychotic.
saying I'm not saying anything that it wasn't real, but it wasn't what they said because it's in there too. It's in
Oh,
it's in
nobody
this too.
died. Nobody knew died. Nobody, just like without looking at all the other data, nobody knew died.
Well, I will say this for sure. People did later. I know that. People did
Well, you got
later.
infertility issues because of the vaccine and all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff.
And we have to be able to at least look. I don't care. If you want to do whatever you want to do, you want to get 10,000 extra ones. You want to do that every single year for the rest. I don't care. I do on a level, but if you're going to, you're going to. What can I do?
Just don't
Leave me
shed
and my
on me.
kids out of it. Right. Leave me and my family out of it.
Yeah.
Leave people out of it, even that aren't my family, that have an absolute right to do what they want to do, period. And also, by the way, I don't like being inducted into any secret society and not knowing and wearing their underwear for years and years. That was kind of crappy and unfair. if I knew, that would have been one thing, but I didn't even know what a Freemason was. That's very unfair, right? Like, I think you should know. I think you should be explained some things. Like, honestly, you're there in the midst of it. I had a freaking meltdown until my great grandma told me to shut up because she got scrubbed naked in a tub. And I was like, whoa, I got to go sit down. I'm super pregnant. I can't handle this right now. Like, I don't know what's happening, and you don't think that though. You don't know. But that's the point of all of this. Nobody tells you anything. You don't know. You're just not. I knew I was going to go to heaven. I knew that. I wanted to go to heaven. That's all I wanted, right?
Yeah.
But whenever they do that, they actually screw themselves because look at what happens. These things like with the Vallow case, they start getting weird and crazy, or the Laffertys, or any other fringe
Oh, yeah.
accident that happens because somebody took it way too far, right? Could
Went to
that
crazy
happen if they
town.
were honest? Yeah. Could that happen if, I mean, I've sat down with Alan Lafferty. I've sat with him at a table
Mm.
and had a 3-hour lunch with him. And I would love to talk to him. He might talk to you. He doesn't so much want to talk to me because I'm not a believer, in Mormonism. But I will tell you, like, it matters. Like the pain. Oh my gosh. Like I came home wrecked from that. Okay. Like
Mm.
wrecked. And I rarely talk about it, even though it happened in my first year of podcasting, probably within the first 4 months. And I've been doing this 4 years. But I just, I felt so bad. I was like, this is not okay. Like somebody else was sincerely affected, and this is not one single person. This is
Mhm.
happening time and time again because some people can get the theology of it and say, okay, this is just a thought or a book or a mental process, or this is alchemy and it's really not supposed to be what you took it to. Um, but other people can't, and they take it to the literal. And that is a problem. Like, we have to figure this out. What is safe, what isn't safe, and how do you differentiate that for the world? I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think everybody should have the right to freedom, but not when you infringe on other people. Not
Yep.
especially not innocent people, like
Yeah.
grandmas and stuff that have no clue. Like, come on, that's not cool.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, they just took it to a different place. I don't
That's
think it
for
was
sure.
meant to be that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Did we miss anything there? I know we're getting to the point where we're
There's so
probably
much,
gonna
but I
wrap
mean, we
it up.
just have to come back as more stuff comes out. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Anything
if anybody
significant that
wants to
you
help out with,
Yes.
crowdsourcing stuff, it'd be great.
Absolutely. Send us stuff. I know I will put our links in the show notes, and I'll make sure to put not only his website, but I can put your email in there
Yeah, that'd be
wherever
great.
you want to direct so
Yep.
that you guys can send to that because we need help. There's too many. They did this on purpose. It's
Oh yeah.
impossible. So, as for, we'll start wrapping. For me, I am going to be definitely digging down the DNA rabbit hole.
Mm.
Zorro Ranch has a lot of unanswered questions. So does our friend in World War II. There was a lot of stuff going on with genetics there, genetics here, genetics at Howard Hughes Medical, genetics. They are doing more than they are telling you. Okay. I think they need certain substances to create the things they are creating. However, wherever that applies, I'm not going to speculate right now because I already threw out my crazy train homunculus book of the cow. But people can look up the Paracelsus Society and the fact that there was one here very early on in Utah. Very strange.
Mhm.
And we have to look at it all because it doesn't matter how crazy it sounds to us. It matters what they think. That's
Right.
what it matters. We have to understand, like, where are you coming from with this? You know? So we have to understand that. But I definitely will be looking into that and into all of those pieces of the puzzle. Hopefully, I'm not sure how that will apply, but hopefully we'll get somewhere. Just like I found the Howard Hughes is a vampire buying red substances. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. Weird. How about you? Any takeaways?
Yeah, I just think that it's important for us to know this so that we know we have to stop. Just that's like people say, well, what do we do about it? The first thing is just stop. Stop letting these people tell you how to run your life, how to run your business, how to teach, what your kids are being taught. Take control of your life and don't have these political heroes that are actually Satanists. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
we've got to just That's the first step, is just stop it.
Absolutely. Like I will just say, die to self daily. Make sure you're checking yourself. Make sure your heroes are probably God is mine. I just don't anymore with humans because like I can love a lot of people, but you know how they say never meet your hero because you
Right.
might be disappointed. We have to look at all of that. So like the division is bananas right now. They are doing this to you on purpose. This is Ordo ab Chao. This is 100% created. And, when we get Peter Thiel's uncle, the first principal of BYU, great great uncle, I believe, when we've got him over at BYU as the first, principal, who's his mentor studied directly under Hegel, I'm sorry, we might have a problem, Houston. Be aware of who these people are, right? Don't just say, "Oh, this is my hero." I give that example so that people can see that for modern day because I bet nobody thought anything about that at the time.
Sure.
You know, we can see where it's gotten us. That's for dang sure.
We have the data
So
now. We can make the connections, and we can take action now that we have that nobody else had before in history.
100%. And we've seen where this gets us, right? I mean, we've been in the world wars. We've seen where this goes. We've seen all of this stuff. And I just, feel very sad that it takes this level of disgustingness to get to some point where we can all go, hey, guess what? Maybe we ought to stop it now. Let's stop it now. Let's do that.
Yep.
So
I
before
also
we're all
hope folks
drinking
will
grape,
will
yeah.
go to our website. I've gotten lots of emails from folks from previous shows that we've done. We've got the Alfalfa Club bio, and I've got that.
Yes.
So if you email me, I'll send that to you. Sign up for our email list. Also, we have the Dallin H. Oaks Intelligence Report. Encourage you to get that from Amazon or Barnes and Noble, and to make sure that if you like what we're doing and you want us to be able to do this, we need your support. So make sure you come over
Yes.
and do that.
Absolutely, we do. And if any of us disappears on certain platforms, we'll be around. Don't worry. I'll be back. I'm
That's
like
why
a
it's important
cockroach.
we go to our websites to sign up for email alerts, because if we disappear from the social medias, you can still reach us. We can still reach you through those emails and text message alerts.
100%. And so I am at unfilteredricepodcast.com, everywhere podcasts are served. You can find me there and also on Spotify, over 260 shows there now. So not as many as on this platform because this platform is a little sticky situation. So find me there. And as always, Ben, it is a pleasure. I love talking with you. I love your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience. I know I didn't see as many messages. I'm getting there on the lives. This is newer for me. So I apologize. And my head nodding and my ADHD and all the things. So, but I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks.